Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the 9th edition of the CoveritLive University Web Series. My name is Spencer Kitley. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at CoveritLive. We appreciate you joining us today for the latest webinar, and we look forward to sharing with you some best practices for driving audience to your events, and also taking a look at some innovative use cases of CoveritLive. Before we get started, I want to provide a brief overview of the format of today's session. We expect this to last between 20 and 30 minutes, and at the conclusion, we'll take questions, which can be sent via the WebEx client chat window. They can be found at the top of your screen by clicking on the green drop-down and clicking into chat. Additionally, if you have questions during the presentation, you can send us your questions through that same chat window at the top of your screen, and our staff will be able to answer as many of your questions as possible as we go. Tomorrow, this webinar will be posted on our website, and I will also send out a follow-up email to let you know that it's there so you can share it with your colleagues or anyone else that was unable to attend today. So, again, thank you for joining us. Now I'd like to introduce you to the host of today's webinar, the General Manager of CoveritLive, Ben Schneider.
Thanks, Spencer, and thanks everyone for joining. As Spencer mentioned, today we're going to focus on best practices for driving audience. We'll look at a few different ways to do this, whether it's using some of the social tools built into CoveritLive, different things that you can do to drive traffic through search engines, and SEO optimizing your events, as well as just general best practices and tips for running effective events, making sure your audience can find them easily, and making sure that your live chat can get the most audience and most viewership as possible. And then another thing we'll cover in sort of the second part of today's session are some examples and uses of CoveritLive that may inspire you for some new types of events that you can run. We often hear from a lot of our customers, a lot of our partners, that they would like to see examples of what other customers are doing, what types of events they're covering, what types of chats they're holding, what sort of experiences are they building them into in their sites. And so we thought this would be a good opportunity to show just a few of those, and we'll continue to do that through future sessions. So starting off with best practices for building your audience, we'll look at a few things that you can do using social tools that are built into CoveritLive first, and then we'll go into some of the things that you can do to enhance SEO. And some of that are things that you can do in your own pages that host CoveritLive events through the traditional iframe widget, as well as additional new features that we have offered and have enhanced recently that enable you to have additional SEO capabilities for your events. And then lastly, we'll wrap with some of the general best practices around things that can just drive more traffic to your events and make them overall better and more engaging for your users. So starting off with some social examples, there's a number of things that are built into CoveritLive that help you drive traffic through social. Now, in past sessions, we've talked a lot about some of the different social tools you can do to bring social content in and the conversation into your CoveritLive event, whether that's Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or other different types of content, and making that a key part of what you're producing inside of your event. But it's also important to note that social can be a great way to leverage and drive traffic to your event. And CoveritLive has a number of features built in to help do that. Particularly, there are features whenever you're setting up your event or configuring your event that enable you and your users to share content socially. And this feature, which I'll jump over and show you how to set up right now, when you're creating a new event, actually controls a few different things. So if I'm creating a new event, I'm providing my title and other different types of information about my event, you'll notice that there is an option for social sharing that indicates Facebook, Twitter, email, etc. This particular checkbox controls a few things inside of the window. One of them is the ability for people who are watching the event to share any of the content to Facebook or to Twitter. And having that option enabled, as you'll see, one of our examples here, whenever somebody mouses over or hovers over a content entry inside of the live window, they get the option to share that piece of content to Twitter or to Facebook. By clicking on the icon, they'll then get the dialog to log in or to adjust the tweet slightly as they want to, or the Facebook entry, and then will post to their wall or their Twitter account. It also enables the option to share general information about the event to Twitter from the viewer window toolbar. But that option also controls some other features, including the ability for CoveritLive to auto-tweet about your event on your behalf. So if you want to also publicize this event on Twitter before it launches or right when the event launches, you can do that by adding in some additional category information and keywords or even hashtags into the field that's for publicizing on Twitter. When this information is added, and whenever you've enabled social sharing, we will automatically tweet from the CiL_events Twitter handle about your event. will include a link to the event, which is based on the URL that you've set up in creating your event. So it's very important that that URL is accurate, and that once you know what page it's going to be hosted on, that you provide that URL. Or if you're using our channel page feature, that will use that URL automatically for you. That allows an entry to go out into Twitter from CiL events with your hashtags with information about your event and a link back to it. So that way, even if somebody's not following the CiL events particular Twitter handle, that content can be discovered if somebody's searching on Twitter, either for that handle or for those keywords or for that topic. So if you're going to have a live chat about the draft, then you can include a hashtag as such, and then anybody searching on that hashtag is going to see that entry from CoveritLive and have a link to your event. So that's a great way to help you get additional viewers from Twitter, an additional audience that may be searching and not necessarily knowing about that you're running a live event about that particular topic. And it's also a way where if you link your Twitter account, we can also tweet on behalf of you and directly from your Twitter account. And that leads us to another new feature that we've also added that can help you in promoting content from within your event. Now looking at the Event Studio, we made an update last week where we added a number of new enhancements to CoveritLive, both in channel pages and the Event Studio, and one of those is the ability to tweet directly from the Event Studio console. So as I'm writing a comment, say I may be giving a draft pick update or something to that effect, whenever I post this into the live event, I now have the option to simultaneously tweet about it. So not only can I post that content into my live blog or into my live event and pull other Twitter content in, but I can also be generating content from my event out to Twitter to my followers, and that can also attract more audience back into your event as they see that tweeted content. So this is a great example, and it's something that you can very simply do from within the console and selectively do it for just some content. Maybe you don't want every post going out to Twitter, maybe you do. But you can very easily turn it on and off and link your Twitter account right from within the Event Studio and publicize your event using Twitter. So in addition to being able to have your users share content from your events to Facebook and Twitter, and for you to being able to share individual posts to Twitter, as well as have your general information about your event auto-tweeted from CoveritLive as well as your own account, you can also host your events directly within Facebook. And this is a feature that's very simple to set up whenever you're first creating an event as well. I'll show you a quick example of one of the CoveritLive customers, Marvel, that does this very well and hosts a lot of their events within inside their Facebook page. Whenever you select to link a CoveritLive event to Facebook, a new tab or rectangle box will automatically be added to that Facebook page that includes the name of the event, and you can adjust the logo or rename it as you want, and then it will be a part of the navigation for that Facebook page for that particular account. Then the CoveritLive event will automatically appear there, and whether the event is upcoming or live, you'll automatically see it, and users can follow along directly within Facebook with all the same functionality they had if they were following it directly on your site, including the ability to share, to submit content and add comments, as well as follow all of the updates, vote in polls, and participate in other forms of engagement. In addition to being able to publish individual events to Facebook, you can also do this with cover pages, which is something that we'll show a little bit more about in our best practices and tips, and it allows you to have not just your event, a widget for your event to be placed in multiple places on your site, including Facebook, but also the ability to see events that are upcoming, events that are completed, and have an archive as well as anything that's live right now, and allow your users to easily find those and access those in one place. So whenever you're setting up a new event, enabling that Facebook option is very, very simple. So first I'm going to create my initial event, when I want it to start, provide the basic information. And then now as I get to page 2 and I have the additional event options, I'll scroll down and notice that one of the options is to link this event to a Facebook page. All you have to do is click that link, and if you're already logged into Facebook, you'll get presented with any of the pages that you are currently an admin for. And you can link this event to any of those pages for which you're an admin. If you're not already logged into Facebook, you'll first get prompted with the Facebook login dialog, and then you'll get the same information in this workflow from there. So I can select which page I want to publish to, add the page tab, And I've already got one existing, but now you can see that this event has been added. I can see the existing image. I can also upload a new image if I want to replace that, and I can also go to Facebook and customize the title and other information about that particular event. So now my event is linked into Facebook. It's that simple. So if you want to simultaneously syndicate your event to your website or other websites, as well as run it on a Facebook page or even a channel page, which we'll talk more about in a little bit, then you have that option very easily. And at any time, you can come in and also de-link that event if you no longer want it attached to your Facebook page. Now my event is no longer added. Very simple and a great way to get more access to your events, to get more audience, and to use social as a tool for driving more attendance. Moving on from social, we'll now talk about a few things that are helpful from an SEO standpoint. And these are best practices overall that will help you drive search traffic to your events, regardless of what type of CoveritLive implementation you use. A number of these tips we've talked about in the past, but they're often things that are easily forgotten, and it's always great to revisit those. So one of the keys is to always post your event, your host page for your event several days ahead of time. That gives it the opportunity to get picked up and get indexed, and any additional data you have around the page, such as the title of the event, the URL, and even the description of the event and keywords, which are all things that you should have as a part of that host page, will now get picked up. And those are the key things that are going to drive most of the traffic through SEO to your pages. It's going to be people searching for things like live draft chat or live blog for the draft, those type of events, rather than individual pieces of content such as who picked what in say, the draft example, or what particular news item, some very, very specific detail that's inside the event. That's not going to drive your traffic. It's people finding general info about the event, live weather update, live news blog, whatever it may be. And the more of those keywords, the more description you have in your host page, then the more access and the more easily people are going to find it, and it's going to be better indexed. Additionally, it's important to make sure that those same keywords are in the title as well as the URL of your event. And all of these things will help drive a significant amount of traffic because they weigh heavily into the search engine's algorithms for indexing content and weighing it. I'll show you a few examples of this from some of our customers. So if I take the WWE, who uses CoveritLive to cover a lot of their televised events, SmackDowns, etc. And we type into Google what exactly, something like WWE live chat. And when the Google results come up, you're going to see that their page comes up very high. And I'm going to wait just a second here because I think I've lost my internet connection. All right, and we're back. So sorry for the little delay there. So as you can see, this WWE live chat inside of Google now is going to reproduce a number of results, and at number one, we have www.com/social/live chat. Now the WebEx is hanging behind for just a second, and I'll make sure it gets caught up so that way everybody can see this before we move on. What you'll see once the page, the WebEx updates here, is that WWE comes up as the first result. And this page is hosted completely on the WWE site. All of their CoveritLive events use the iframe, and they also use our cover pages to show upcoming events, recent events that are already completed, or anything that's currently live. But just based on the fact that they've included live chat inside of their URL, and they have that descriptive information in their pages, and that they always host their events from the same set of pages, has made that place really high in the search engines. It's made it very easy to find for their users, for their audience members to know where it is and to always quickly return to it, and made it very easily accessible. So it's a great example with independent of the type of implementation of CoveritLive you use, whether it's our hosted channel pages or whether it's an iframe version, that you can then see that based on what you put into your title of your page, what you put into the description of your page, and having a steady, consistent home for your event that's up for a long time will actually help drive the most traffic to your event. Additionally, though, we have a feature called channel pages that we introduced last year that allows you to have a hosted version of CoveritLive events that are also SEO enabled and optimized, providing more search engine content for your events. So in addition to those best practices, if you also want to run a CoveritLive channel page, which are included with our custom subscriptions and available for an additional charge for self-serve accounts, we can set those up for you. And essentially, they have several key components. They're white labeled to match your existing website. They're hosted off of a subdomain of your website, such as live.wwe.com or live.washingtonexaminer.com, which is an example I'll show in a moment. And they also they're persistent and provide a home for all of your content that can also be accessed by search engines. But in addition to all of that, they provide a number of more enhanced display options than the traditional iframe. So jumping back over to our examples. We'll take a look at a few events here. And as I mentioned, live.washingtonexaminer.com is one of these examples, and here's one of their completed events. As you look across our page, you'll notice that the event is not bound to the iframe box. It can take up the full content of the page. It still has all of the same functionality and also has pagination for you to get easily through the event. It's also hosted under the WashingtonExaminer.com domain name, under the subdomain live.washingtonexaminer.com. It includes the blog name in the title and the URL, and there's also some options in setting up the channel page that provides additional data around and detail around the event that can be indexed and make it more accessible. To show you another example from one of our demo sites, you can see this example of a channel page that looks very similar to the CBS Sports site. Again, includes lots of content from different sources, including Twitter, has an infinite scroll option, and the ability to take up the full page so it's not just bound to the iframe box. And it also has some other enhanced display features, such as the ability to have comments and scoreboards, the toolbars, all available at the top of the event, as well as a just new and unique and completely form-fitted to the page display option that makes for a much more elegant presentation. There's also some nice features where as new event content comes in, instead of pushing the page down and making it harder as you scroll to find what you are reading, the content will all simply collect and collapse up at the top of the page, and then whenever you revisit the top of the page, it will show you what the new updates are, similar to what Twitter or Facebook does whenever you're mining through your feeds. Now, if channel pages are enabled for you as an option, you'll notice that whenever setting up an event inside the account setup page, that you'll have the option to select whether or not you want to publish this event to a channel page. When you do, you can provide additional descriptive info. And you can select which channel pages you want to publish it to. And if you have multiple channel pages, you can publish it to all of them or only select one. And then very quickly and easily, your event is published to a channel page and available for anyone to see. The channel page homepage will have a list of all of your current live events, as well as access to completed events or any upcoming events that are scheduled. So it's a great way to have a dedicated home that's also search engine accessible for your event. It's persistent. It's under one simple domain name and URL that users can find easily and quickly. And so in addition to giving you search engine traffic, it makes it very, very easy to publicize where your events will be and make it very easy for your audience to find them. Some other key features of channel pages are that they give you the ability to have a dedicated mobile template as well. So, if you have a distinct look for your mobile site, whenever somebody is detected to be on an iPhone, an Android phone, or some other small mobile device, but not a large tablet, then they'll be redirected to the mobile template version, which you can provide to us and can update at any time. And there's a couple of different ways that templates can work, where either you can host them on your site and we will continuously update from those, or you can provide them to us and we can set them up for you. So again, in addition to SEO, channel pages provide a great way to have a more flexible presentation that fits more perfectly to your site, to also give you the ability to have a dedicated home that's easy to find for your audience, and provide you a number of new ways that you can display your events in addition to your traditional iframe embed or syndicating to Facebook and other options, that traditional CoveritLive publishing options. So again, those are included. If you're a custom subscription account, you have access to channel pages, please contact us and we can get you set up. If you're interested in channel pages and you're a self-serve subscription user, then also contact us, as for an additional charge we can set those up for you as well. So the next thing I'll jump into are cover pages and reminders. And these are two features of CoveritLive that are often not used to their full capacity, but are really powerful, and we've seen a few examples of this already. So mentioning cover pages earlier, I noted that it essentially gives you a home where you can have and see upcoming events that you have scheduled, completed events, and access to those archives, as well as anything that's live right now. As we looked at on the WWE example, they're using a cover page, and this is a widget that they've embedded in their site, but it's the cover page widget. And it shows any particular content that's live now, what's coming up, and completed events. And users can access these events and this content and see it very easily. Additionally, they've also enabled the reminder feature so that any upcoming live chat has the option for somebody to enter their address and get a reminder at their designated time that they want before the event happens. So they'll receive an email reminder to let them know, hey, the live chat's about to happen, and they can jump right in and not forget about it because they want to follow along. This is great whenever you do repeated events on a regular basis, which is also a great best practice. So as much as possible at the same time, same place every week or every day or every month, whatever interval is appropriate for your organization, have those events consistently. And it also enables this reminder feature so that way users can then select to themselves when to get a reminder and be reminded that that event is coming up so they don't forget about it. And using that in conjunction with cover pages and or channel pages gives you the opportunity to allow your users to also see those upcoming events at any time or come back and revisit them once the event is over. One other key thing that a lot of our customers are starting to do really well, and it's always great to remember, is to implement your events in multiple presentations. And really what we mean by this is don't limit yourself to just that one page that hosts your event. As we've shown with channel pages, you can have your events running on a channel page that's hosted and has a full page experience. You can also have a widget running on another page that hosts your live chats or shows a sample of a live event with a link to the full experience. This is something that Build in Germany did during their Oscar coverage. On their homepage, they had a smaller version of the iframe running inside of their Oscar display element on the home page, and you could see some of the content that was happening. You could even engage with this part of the page. But clicking on the link took you to the full Oscar page, which had the event take up much more of the page, much easier to read and easier to follow along and engage in the full live experience, which of course can be complemented with a channel page or with just a different size widget that you place on another page, as well as syndication to Facebook and other options. So this is a key thing to remember. Your iframe doesn't have to live in just one place. It can be in multiple places on your site. It can be persistent on a home page or a section page that allows people to see a snippet of what's going on and then dive into the full event if they want to. It's a great discovery piece and a great way to promote your events. That same method can also be used to syndicate your events across sites and properties. And there's a number of CoveritLive customers doing this really well that serve as great examples. Raycom syndicated the State of the Union address coverage to 20-plus local TV broadcast sites. We've also had great examples where Time and PBS syndicated their War in Syria live chat and Q&A event just a few weeks ago. ABC News and Yahoo have partnered to syndicate across their sites for iPhone coverage and for election and news coverage. So a lot of great examples where either through a partnership or in the case that you have a number of distributed sites across your organization, you can syndicate the event to multiple locations and multiple web properties, making it easier for broad coverage whenever all of your teams may not be able to get there. And sort of the last tip and practice that we'll look at right now is around replays and archiving. One thing that often gets forgotten is that people still want to see the event after it's over. Just because it's a live event doesn't mean that once it's over, nobody cares to participate in the chat. They want to come back and read. If it was a live Q&A with maybe a celebrity or a football player or an expert, they want to come back and read those questions and those answers later. Whether it was maybe a coverage of a breaking news story, whether it's a weather event or such as the events in Boston last week, people want to come back and read those updates as they were happening and go back and see some of that context and how the story unfolded. So once the story's over, don't take away the page and take away the event. Leave that access there. If you just leave the event up, even once it's over, users can come in and watch it in replay mode. You don't have to do any additional work, and we've seen a significant amount of clicks and viewership come through replays. So leaving that up is definitely something that your audience is interested in for those who may not have been able to attend while the event was actually happening. In addition, though, you can also integrate the event, once it's over, more fully into your site content. And there's a couple of options to do that. One is that you can use the Save As version to save off a copy of the event and all of the event HTML directly into your own site. Whether you want to put that into your blog or CMS system, or you want to integrate it through some programmatic system, you have the option to take essentially the full HTML of the completed event and save it. And I'll show that example. If you're looking, for example, at a completed event, right here, you can select the event with a radio button, and you pick the option to save the content locally. Once you click that, you'll essentially get a small box that has all of the content in it that you can copy and paste either into a page, either into a blog post or a CMS system. You can also edit it and adjust it as you want, and then produce that final story on your own site through your own system. CoveritLive clicks and audience and page views will no longer be tracked, but you have control over that content to use it in whatever way you want and allow your audience to revisit it. In addition to that option, you can also access the RSS feed of the event. And whenever you access the specific event's RSS feed, you can use that to take the content of what was displayed and what was produced into the event and pull that into another system, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an email system, whether it's a CMS. So that's a great simple option without having to know any coding or do any development work. You can either copy and paste with the Save As option, or you can access the RSS feed and integrate that. If you have access to developers or you even want to experiment with the API on your own, the API is also a great option because all of your CoveritLive content and even stats and data and other things are accessible through the API. You can download all of the content or access it and retrieve it from the API and then integrate it to another system as well. And all of those mechanisms are available to you and don't count against your clicks or replays that are happening inside of your CoveritLive event. But the simplest method is just to leave the event up and allow people direct access. But these are also all alternatives for better integrating that replay or archive of that content into your site. And people are definitely interested in being able to access that. So through one of these means, you should definitely provide that content, make that content available and provide access to it once the event is over. So now, as we covered a number of best practices, a number of ways to use social, SEO, CoveritLive features to drive content and to drive access to your events. We've talked about cover pages and channel pages and other great features such as the RSS and Save As capabilities, replays, these things that you can use to really help drive audience and into your events and to help make your events more engaging and overall more beneficial. We'll now turn and look at some of the different ways that CoveritLive can be used as covering news or events or television type items, so that way you can find new and innovative ways to host live content through CoveritLive. It's not just for breaking news, although that's a great use case, or for covering sports or for things that people can't access on TV. It also complements television broadcasts, ongoing live streaming news, either through Twitter aggregation or streaming live content, or just Q&As with experts and celebrities, whether it's something simple like gardening, asking somebody about gardening and plumbing expertise, or whether it's doing something like engaging with a celebrity and getting a chance to ask somebody questions, whether it's an actor or an athlete around why they're excited to be with the team or what they think is going to happen in the next year or about what's going to happen in the next movie. Product launches are also a great thing to cover. Apple and iPhone events are obvious ones because so many people are interested, but there's lots of other great things such as when video games are unveiled or new technology products that people like to follow online. And regardless of what type of content you produce or what type of publisher you are, these all provide excellent opportunities for you to participate and engage in a live audience. So we'll show a few examples of these that some of our customers are doing, and hopefully through this you'll see some innovative types of use of the types of events that they're covering, but also in the way that they're integrating CoveritLive into their website. One example is the second screen experience to award shows. And Entertainment Weekly does this throughout all of the awards, such as the Golden Globes, the Grammys, the Oscars, and they've essentially created an award dashboard that includes a lot of content and a CoveritLive live blog, live chat, where users can engage in polls, they can comment and have witty banter with those that are hosting the event and talking about things such as what people just said in their speech or what they're wearing. And it provides a great interactive element for you to follow along and for your audience to engage around a popular event. The NFL.com also uses CoveritLive in a second screen experience and pairing it with their Thursday night and other NFL televised broadcasts where the NFL Network is actually televising the game. As you can see through their dashboard here, in addition to having live video content of what's happening during the game, they're also following along with Twitter content, trivia and polls through CoveritLive, and other commentary and chatter through their panelists and producers that help provide a really engaging experience, and it makes it more enjoyable to watch the game online and participate with others who are interested in the teams and interested in following along, rather than just watching it passively on television. CTV also did a great job of following the Oscars with their experience that was also optimized for tablet and mobile and included a responsive design and resized CoveritLive and the accompanying content depending upon the size of the screen of the device you were looking at. So in addition to their video broadcast where they were covering and following along live with what was happening during the Oscars, they also had Twitter content and live chat and the opportunity for users to engage through the CoveritLive event to talk about what was happening during the show. Another example, oftentimes that's overlooked, is the ability to have a constant CoveritLive event running as a ticker. And a constant stream can be useful for a number of different reasons. One, you may not have a lot of specific events that are very, very fixed in time that you want to cover, but you do have news that happens occasionally or ongoing throughout the day, minor updates that you want to give, or different things that you want users to be able to follow on your site, whether it's from Twitter or from other sources, and you want to be able to easily and quickly publish those into a live stream on your site. The CoveritLive ticker is a great opportunity and a great way to do this. The main thing to note about a ticker is that there are two different types of CoveritLive events, a traditional event and a ticker. A traditional event has an assumed start and stop time. You're going to be running it for a set amount of time. If there's no content provided after a certain amount of time, then the event will end and go into replay mode. But a ticker can run continuously. And with a ticker, that means that you can always be producing content, you can always be taking comments, or you can enable that on and off depending upon whether or not someone's monitoring. And you can use it as a Twitter aggregation tool with a lot of the recent filters and moderation pieces that we've added to Twitter and the Event Studio over the past few releases. The other thing that's really powerful about a constant ticker stream running on your site is that if breaking news does happen or if a sudden unexpected event does come up, you can essentially jump right into live coverage and use that event that's already deployed on your site, it's already running and people are already used to engaging with, to now be covering the live event access. So it's a great tool. It can also be used for things like the NBA uses it to cover two different teams who are competing against each other during the finals at the same time and follow their Twitter streams and what users are tweeting about those teams. Or in the case of Le Monde in France, who has it running persistently on their site whenever there's big events going on, and you can see it always from the home page or select to blow that up into a full screen experience on another page. So the last example we'll look at for today is the ability to interact with fans or customers or other brand enthusiasts around live Q&A chats. So whether it's hosting fantasy chats to talk about your lineup for football, basketball, baseball, and engage with an expert who should be able to at least tell you in theory what you should be doing this week to get the most out of your team, or like I mentioned, other types of examples where you want to talk about fitness and nutrition, or new products that are coming out, fashion and style. Those are all great opportunities to bring an expert on or even a celebrity to talk about those, engage with your audience, and give them special access. Athletes are also another great example for covering sports, or whenever a athlete moves to a new team and is now excited to be joining that team and you want to cover that and have a special Q&A to access them. Those are all great opportunities. But even just people who have local expertise on things like electronics or products are good opportunities. Product launches are also a fun thing to cover because people get so interested, particularly in technology, whether it's the iPhone or whether it's the next video game, the next Sims chat, or Sonos in this example, and the new systems that they're unveiling. People like to follow along and understand what's happening with the product and get excited about feeling like they have that first access and special ability to know what's happening before anybody else. So getting to cover those events, whether it's directly or through Twitter and social media that you aggregate into a CoveritLive event on your site, is a great opportunity to really increase your audience and have more recurring live events that will engage them. So hopefully you found these examples helpful. We're going to continue throughout future CoveritLive University sessions to engage with more examples, show you more use cases around other customers who are using the product, what types of events they're covering, and what types of interfaces and implementations that they're using CoveritLive in. And hopefully you've also learned some best practices, or at least been reminded of some things maybe that you've forgotten around how to continue to drive and make more audience to your events and make them more engaging. Additionally, there's some new features in CoveritLive that hopefully you can take to use for your credit and take advantage of, such as being able to tweet from the console and use the new layout for channel pages, or take advantage of new features that have been there for a while but you haven't, such as cover pages, linking to Facebook, and using the auto tweet feature. So at this point, if you have any questions, submit those to Spencer, and we'll remind you that our next session will be Thursday, May 23rd, and we'll provide you more updates on the topics that we'll be covering then. And in the meantime, if there's any questions, I'll turn it over to Spencer.
All right, thanks, Ben. Great information today on best practices and innovative use cases. We have a couple questions that have come in through the WebEx chat window. I encourage you to click at the top of your screen now on the green drop-down tab if you have any chats to submit, or questions to submit through the chat. First off, we did have a question earlier that I think is relevant to everyone. Can you embed a live streaming video into a channel page, and how does that work?
Yeah, you can. That's a great question. And you can. And essentially, inside the channel page, the layout of the page and the template is something that you have complete control over. We can either set it up for you, or you can point us to a URL to go grab that template automatically. But either way, you can put any sort of content that you want into that channel page. That could be a live streaming video embed. It can also be additional analytics for advertising, or embeddable ad tags that may be specific to the type of event or sponsorship that you're running. Anything that's dynamic from your site, such as navigation or links to other content, all of those items can be embedded in the channel page, just like you would your traditional web page, and provide no additional effort or access from us. Essentially, whatever you want your template to be and whatever you want included in that page can be included, and there's a special way to carve out where CoveritLive goes in the page, and then we take up that available space. Similarly, you can also embed live video content as a content item inside your CoveritLive events, even if you're not using a channel page. But it will just be one of the content items that's in the stream, and you embed that through the writer's window and can put that content in. And if there's any specific questions around particular streaming video providers, we can provide additional detail offline, and you can follow up with us on that individually.
All right, a reminder, if you have any questions, be sure to submit those now through the WebEx chat at the top of your screen. We do have another question. This one today comes to us from Herb. He's asking, what are the initial steps I need to take if I'm interested in getting started with a channel page?
That's a great question as well. So to get started with a channel page, first contact us, either directly if you have one of our emails or through support@CoveritLive.com, and it will get routed to us. And we'll send you a complete list of the details to get set up. It's really very simple. The first thing is deciding on a subdomain that you want to host your channel page within, whether that's live.yoursite.com or live events, whatever makes sense, and letting us know what that is. And then there's some particular DNS information that we'll get you to provide to your IT team that needs to pick it up. It's very simple, but you can pass that along to them to set that up. And then once that's set up, we will have done the setup on our end. Your channel page will be accessible. And then it's just a matter of finalizing your template, which we can do for you, or you can provide to us from your team, and then you start publishing events. So there's really just a few steps involved, and there are a few technical pieces that are very simple to address, but that we have very detailed instructions on how to accomplish, and can walk your team through very quickly if you're interested. So simply reach out to us and we can get you started.
So then on average, how long does it take to get that process completed?
If you know what you want your subdomain to be and you've got a template ready, then the maximum time that it will take is 24 to 48 hours, and really what that's just for is for the DNS setup, the new domain name that you want to be accessed under to be set up and to propagate throughout the internet and be available through Akamai and our streaming service. And a lot of times it's available much faster than that, but we give that window because sometimes those sort of changes take a little while to propagate throughout the internet. But it only takes a couple of days once we have that information. And so if you know your subdomain and you have a template ready, it can be set up within a couple of days.
Fantastic. If we don't have any more questions, I'll give it just a few more seconds to allow any last-minute questions to roll in. Also want to remind you, as Ben said, the next session is Thursday, May 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern. The topic yet hasn't been established, but stay tuned. We'll be sending out some email correspondence that will also be on CoveritLive.com under the resources section at CoveritLive University. And I don't see any further questions, so we would like to thank you again for joining us. We'll see you again next time at our 10th edition of CoveritLive University. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.